Hello, boxing fans and Talking Fight fans around the world. Christian here from the Friday night panel, coming to you with day 11 action from the Olympic boxing tournament at Tokyo. We don't have Graham with us today. It seems like we've been trading off just about every other day lately, conflicting schedules. But as long as we've got someone here to bring you guys results, we're pretty happy at the end of this here. Now, not quite as much to get through as we've had the last couple of days, and that's because we only had one session yesterday as we get closer to the end of this tournament. Now, we did see some action on the data. We saw some more shrapnel going out the door. We saw some fights stopped by cuts today as well. But let's dive right in. We started the session today, well, I guess yesterday at this point, but with the women's flyweight semifinals. And that saw Busenaz Kakaroglu of Turkey defeat Huang Hsiao Wen of Chinese Taipei. Now, Huang captures Chinese Taipei's first ever Olympic medal in boxing. So even with the loss here, this goes down in the history books for Chinese Taipei. Going home with the bronze. Top seed Kakaroglu goes on to fight for gold. First round, which Huang lost 5-0, kind of doomed her. All five judges gave Kakaroglu the third round as well. So despite a 3-2 split in the second, it wound up being a 5-0 sweep tally for Kakaroglu and the end of it. She managed to deal with Huang's large, reach and height advantage pretty well throughout the course of this one here, and managed to keep herself on the inside. There was also, near the end of this fight, there was a pretty tough fall that might have been called a knockdown on Kakaroglu. The ref just didn't see it that way. End of the day, Kakaroglu moving on for gold and Huang taking the bronze home at the end of this. Stoica Krestova of Bulgaria beat Tsukimi Nakimi of Japan in another 5-0 sweep. Now, the 22-year-old Nakimi was a hometown favorite here. Pardon me. And did have a terrific run here in Tokyo. But she just couldn't figure Krestova out at the end of this one here. Nakimi won one card in the first round, but everything else went to Krestova, who was taller and physically stronger throughout the course of this entire fight. Well, she's always taller, but physically stronger throughout the course of this fight. And didn't fail in much of what she tried against Nakimi. Now, Nakimi really wanted to try to bring her into her style here. Nakimi kind of taunts her opponents, bouncing around a fair amount at range and fluttering her hands. But Krestova's 35, and she's got a lot of experience here, and she wasn't going to be drawn into anything that didn't benefit her directly. So she couldn't get drawn as Nakimi was unable to draw her into the style of boxing that she wanted. And as a result, Krestova is headed for gold, and the host country boxer has to settle for bronze here. But we will, I'll say this right here now, we'll be seeing Nakimi again in Paris 2024. We'll see her at tournaments before that, but Paris 2024, I'll say for sure. In the women's welterweight semifinal action, we saw Busenaz Surmaneli of Turkey take out Lavlina Borgen of India in another 5-0 sweep. Now, this one here, Borgen tried to come out really aggressive at the beginning of this fight to try to make things clear that she wasn't going to let the top seed, Surmaneli, who has been really, really dominant throughout this whole tournament, bully her. Now, that led to Borgen hitting Surmaneli a couple of times really late on breaks, kind of questionably, if you ask me. And this obviously upset Surmaneli, and who was able to force a standing 8 count late in the first round. And after that, she pretty much dominated after that point. Borgen was also penalized a point late in the second and just didn't have enough in her to take home anything else at that point. So Krestova moves on, and Borgen's going to have to settle for a bronze here. Gu Hong of China beat Osha Jones of the United States in a 4-1 split. Now, this was always thought that this was going to be a tough style matchup for the American, and it was. Gu was older and tremendously experienced here, and a longtime standout at major tournaments. Jones is a good pressure fighter, but Gu had the height and reach advantage here, and just picked her off too many times as Jones tried to work her way to the inside here. Now, she kept trying, but Gu just found the range that she wanted and was able to keep Jones at it for the course of this fight. Jones put in a real good effort throughout the whole thing, but the decision really worked out the way it was going to. It should have, and there was no real surprises at the end of this fight on the judges' cards. In the men's super heavyweight semifinal action, Bakhtir Jalolov of Uzbekistan defeated Fraser Clark of Great Britain. Now, this one here was one of the stoppages that we talked about due to a cut. Now, Clark gave everything he had here, and, he did catch Jalolov with a couple of good rights in the first round and another in the second that forced a standing 8. But between those right hands, Jalolov was, he was doing what he's been doing this entire tournament. He's tall, he's got great reach, he's powerful, and moves really quick for a guy his size. And Clark was stopped on a cut. Now, this wasn't even one of the cuts that he got in his, now instantly famous, or infamous, I should say, disqualification win over Murad Aliyev of France in the quarterfinals. This was a brand new cut on the forehead, just over his eye. And it was, it was reasonably bad, this one. Clark, to the point where Clark didn't show any surprises or animosity towards the doctors for stopping this fight, and none towards Jalolov either. The two displayed a good amount of admiration and respect for each other after it was all over. So Clark, and he leaves Tokyo, and he put in everything he had. This just didn't go his way. He caught a couple of bad shots, and if this had gone the distance, we might have been looking at a different fight. Unfortunately, it didn't for Clark. It did not go the distance, and he's headed home. Richard Torres Jr. of the United States took out Kamshaibek Kunkabayev of Kazakhstan. Now, this one here was another injury here due to a cut. Kunkabayev's skills and experience gave Torres some trouble, but overall Torres was just the better fighter in this one and put in just kind of a steamroller type effort, hard hitting, and just he had a better motor, just more in the tank throughout the course of this fight. And that's why he'll be advancing to the gold medal bout. He'd already been the first American medalist in this division since Riddick Bowe back in '88, and obviously he'll be the first American to fight for gold in the division since the same year, the last American gold being Tyrell Biggs in '84. Torres rocked Kunkabayev in the first round and dropped him just before the bell to end the second, crushing his nose, opening a pretty large gash on the bridge, which stopped the fight in the third round. Up to this point, he's had a great run and has earned his place in this fight. Now, in the men's heavyweight finals here, now this was, again, we had a short day today. This was only a single session. So we finish off with the men's heavyweight final, which saw Arlen Lopez defeat Ben Whitaker of Great Britain. Now, anyone who's been following this show for any amount of time now knows that we're a big fan of Ben Whitaker's. So this was a bit of a heartbreaker here. Cuba's Arlen Lopez has won the gold medal at the middleweight at Rio 2016 as well. And he's now followed this up with Tokyo 2020 gold, with the same honor in light heavyweight, beating Great Britain's Ben Whitaker on cards. So Lopez won the fight on a tally of on a split of 4-1, but it was a bit of an odd result to judge overall because of how the fight and the scoring played out. Lopez swept the first round, and despite some better work from Whitaker in the second, won 4 out of 5 cards in that round too, essentially putting him in as a lock. As long as he didn't get knocked out or absolutely dominated come the third round. So knowing that he had a 2018 lead on the cards going into the third, Lopez opted mostly to protect his lead in the third round, which went to Whitaker on 4 cards to tighten up the overall scores. Whitaker won 1 card 29-28 and lost the other 4 on scores of 29-28 3 times, and then 1 card of 30-27, with the Moroccan judge still giving the Cuban the third, despite the fact that he didn't even really try to do anything to win this one here. If 2 more of the judges had seen the second round for Whitaker, the third round would have looked completely different. Because at that point in time, Lopez would have been up 20-18 on the cards, but it would have been even on 3 and thus on the line in the final round. But that's just not how it happened. And Whitaker, who, he's a stylist and he works really well at range and has a great jab, just didn't have, things just didn't fall his way, and he wasn't able to force any huge comebacks in the third round. Not that Lopez was really going to push too hard to let him anyway. Lopez beat Algeria's Mohamed Humri, Mexico's Rogelio Romero, and Azerbaijan's Cuban-born Lauren Alfonso Dominguez, and, of course, now Ben to claim gold. Now, the one card that did go to Whitaker, though, this should be this is worth mentioning here. So the one card in this fight that did go to Ben was the only card that Lopez didn't win during his entire run for this tournament. So that's keep that in mind as well. Silver medalist Whitaker, also, he did have a great run here. Coming out of the round of 32 with a win over Colombia's Jorge Luis Vivas, followed by victories over Abdelrahman Salah of Egypt and Keno Machado of Brazil, and the ROC, that's Russian Olympic Committee's Imam Katyev, who you guys will remember Katyev had really just been brutalizing and steamrolling people up to that point. So, kudos to Ben on that one. A bit of a heartbreak there for him, but from Arlen Lopez's side of things here, this was a good one for him. This was a good win. And the same for anyone else, really, who's defending a medal after Rio. Because at the end of the day, it's great, as we look at Rio now as being judged as, as generally thought of as being a corrupt tournament due to the judging and refereeing across the board on that one. So that's not to say that there was a corrupt tournament from the side of the athletes going into it. So when you have these athletes who came into Rio, who spent years training just like everybody else, they walk away, they have a gold medal, hung around their neck thinking, I'm the best in the world. I went up against the best in the world, and, I've triumphed, only to be told after the fact that, well, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, because the judging was so questionable, we'll call it, we'll put it in nice terms there, throughout the course of this. So to be able to come back and defend a gold medal in Tokyo, to take that home, and it's got to feel really good for Lopez, just to kind of, for himself, just to kind of prove to himself that, he is what he says he is at that point in time. And he did, he did go up against the best in the world and, had things go his way. So obviously, congratulations to Lopez. Bit of a heartbreak for Ben, but, we haven't seen the last of either one of those fighters. So that wraps us up for day 11, though. We will be back again tomorrow with day 12 action, more gold medals going out the door, and hopefully some interesting bouts to watch. So please tune in then. Keep in mind, tomorrow is, Tomorrow is Thursday. We will be back at our usual time. And, we're also seeing some opinions on the side here that Ben's going to do good in the pros. No arguments there, although I haven't heard any rumors as of yet as to whether or not Ben's looking at moving over to the pros, or if we're going to be seeing him in Paris in 2024, or both. We haven't heard that as of yet, but I'm sure at some point in time, Big T can let us in to see and let us know if anything's heading in either direction there. But we're going to sign off for today, and we will talk to you guys again tomorrow. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow.